Welcome back. I'm now going to show you how to hook up the 7-segment display to the Arduino. For your convenience, I have also transferred the diagram from the last video over here, and the 2 pins labeled with a G are supposed to be connected to ground, or to the negative. Okay, so here's how this is going to go. First, we're going to disconnect this circuit over here. We're then going to hook up the 7-segment display, connect the jumper wires to the correct places to control all the pins, and then at the very end we'll connect the 2 jumper wires that will connect to the ground, to the 2 pins labeled G. So because these are LEDs on the 7-segment display, we still need resistors in the circuit. So we're going to hold on to these resistors, but we'll need to put them in a different place. So I'm just going to take them and put them off to the side. However, these LEDs are not going to be needed anymore, so I will take those away. Now I will disconnect all of these jumper wires, and we'll just leave those off to the side for now. Okay, let's take our 7-segment display, and as you can see on the bottom, it has 2 rows of pins. We're going to put those so that it straddles this gutter in the middle of the breadboard. So this is what it will look like. That's where it will sit. And if you look, remember there were 5 pins on the 7-segment display. So those pins are in these 5 rows. So if we connect anything to this row right here, it's going to be connected then inside the breadboard to that first pin. Same with this row to the second pin, that row to the third pin, etc. Same on this side. So the first thing to do is connect all of the resistors. So we're going to move the Arduino out of the way so you can see this. And I will zoom in. Okay, so follow along pretty carefully. I'm going to take the first resistor and put it in the top row of the 7-segment display, one side, and then I'm going to take the other side and bring it down to a row that is below the 7-segment display. Okay, so you can see, if I bring this over, the LED is in that first row, and then it comes down to a different row that is below the 7-segment display. We're going to repeat that for pins. So we did it for pin 1. We're going to repeat it for pin 2. We're going to skip pin 3 because that's ground. Then we'll do it again for pin 4 and pin 5, which I will do right now for you. That's pin 2. Then we'll skip pin 3 and go to pin 4. And finally pin 5. Okay, and this is what it should look like. If we turn it on its side and look at it, oh, I got that 4th resistor in the wrong hole. If you see that, I'm going to have to take this one out and slide it over. Okay. So now we have it in rows 1, 2, 4, and 5. Now I need to repeat the exact same thing for this other side, which I will do now. And you should be following along with me. last one. Okay, and let's check to make sure we got them in the correct rows. Okay, good. Row 1, 2, 4, and 5. Looking good. Okay, now we need to connect the jumper wires that connect to each of these. So let's bring back in the Arduino. Okay, so follow along with me. I'm going to take the first of the jumper wires. Now this is not the one connected to ground. We are not going to connect the one connected to ground quite yet. Okay? So I'll take this one and I'm going to connect it to the row, the same row as the end of one of the resistors. So I'll do that right here. Do that with this first resistor. Okay, so if you see, it's connected. Oh, and I got it into the wrong row. That's why we check these things. Okay, so if you look, it's now connected into the same row as the end of one of those resistors. We now need to repeat that with the other 7 jumper wires, which I will do now. So first let's check this one and see if it's right, which it does not appear to be. I think I skipped a row. Okay, that is correct. Now we need to do the same thing for the other side. Again, make sure you don't grab the one for ground. Okay, let's take a look at this side and make sure we got them all right. Yep, looks like we got those right. Okay, so hopefully you're following along and you're this far. If you need to catch up, go ahead and pause the video. Now it's time to connect the ground pin. So we're going to take this last one, and remember, this is the one that's connected to ground right there, G and D. So it's going to be this one. And we're going to connect it into the blue rail on this side. Okay, so you see where I connected that right there at the top? Now all of these pins along this side, right next to the blue line, are all negative, all the way down to the bottom. Okay, and our job, the last thing we need to connect, is these 2 middle pins on the 7-segment display on each side back into one of these blue holes, one of the holes next to the blue line. So we'll need 2 more jumper wires, which I have right here. So this is where it gets a little sticky, but you need to get in here and get to the 3rd pin and then connect it over here onto the other side. Okay, so if you see, I connected this jumper wire into the 3rd pin, so the middle one on this side, and then connected it on the other side all the way over to one of these holes next to the blue line. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay, so take a look at this side. This yellow wire is what I just connected. It's on the middle, and then it comes over here to this side. Okay, you are now ready to go. So go ahead, plug in your Arduino, and use the same program that you created before to create your little light show. And what you'll see is that these segments on the 7-segment display will start lighting up in an interesting pattern. You'll probably have to hold these out of the way so you can actually see it, but they'll start lighting up. Now here's your job. This is what you'll do for the checkoff. You need to create a program that counts up from 0 to 9. So what it should do is it should show a 0 on the 7-segment display. It should show 0, and then hold that for a second, and then show a 1, and hold that for a second, then show a 2, hold that for a second, and keep going all the way up to 9. Then when it gets to 9, then it should start over at 0, and just keep going from 0 to 9. Okay? Does that make sense? I think this is going to be a really fun project, so good luck to you electrical engineers in training, and we'll see what you can come up with.